Good morning, Stucky and I are here ready to do today's daily spread. I don't have any kind of particular topic in mind. Again, I just felt the impulse to do this as an exercise for myself and to guide you in terms of allowing ourselves to freely create for a few minutes every day, purely and freely, allowing ourselves to be uncertain, to be unsure, so that we are more inclined to trust our natural instincts, the things that come easily to us, the things that naturally light us up. If you've seen a lot of my artwork, you know that for me that tends to be lots of mark making and lots and lots and lots of color. I am not a monochrome, I am not an earth tones kind of person. I am a bright, vibrant, cotton candy color person, and that's just who I am. That has come to be part of my style, just because that is what I enjoy. That's what really lights me up when I'm doing it. And so, if you don't know what lights you up, then this is an opportunity to explore, to pick up some random art supplies. I mean, if you don't have professional art supplies, of course you could use Crayola markers, some crayons, anything, colored pencils, anything that you can pick up at the store. And those same supplies can get you through anything and everything, because it's not about the supplies. It's about your own essence and how you allow your essence to flow through you as you're creating, how open of a channel you can be, how much space you give for your natural, authentic creativity to emerge and dance around in the space and, come out on paper or on canvas or in whatever else means of expression that you choose. So I am going to flip you around. I'll show you the supplies again. It's pretty much same old if you've been with me over the last few days, and then get started. All right, so here we go. We've got my clamp for my phone. We've got my daily spread sketchbook, the Illo sketchbook, which I highly recommend. I really love the paper. I really love the square format that opens into landscape. I really love the texture. Well, there's not really texture, but I love that about it. And it's a nice kind of sturdy, thick paper. Graphite sticks from Kohinoor, a couple pens, paintbrush, some oil pastels, water-soluble oil pastels, gesso. I think there's a mermaid marker back there, cup with water in it, and my Caran d'Ache gouache set. I'm finding this pan set really handy. I have gouache in tubes, but I'm finding this really cool. I really love the quality of this pan gouache. I really love the velvety texture of it and how activated it becomes when you do let some water sit on top of it to get it nice and creamy. So with that, I'll flip you around. All right, so here we go. Quick review. We have day 1, day 2. I really love that gold, how it shines. Day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7, and here we go for day 8. And I apologize in advance for the shaking. I don't know why this table is kind of shaking today, but it is, so we're just going to let that be and continue on. So I'm just picking up a graphite stick, and as I mentioned, I tend to like to scribble. It really frees me up and gets me in the moment. So, and maybe this is not going to be a perfectly I'm not in my coffee yet. It is still brewing in the French press. So that's my excuse. That's my excuse for maybe not having the perfect words. And if I don't have the perfect words, perhaps that will allow my energy to kind of flow even more. And this is just it's just a Muji pen. It's a really thin tip. I can't find the point. Oh, 0.038. That's the width of the mark. Now I'm pulling out a mermaid marker. And I'm just gonna, I really feel like getting a whole bunch of this on the page. I really love that color. I love all the mermaid markers. They're by Jane Davenport. So if you have not tried them, I highly recommend that. The mermaid markers and her incredible inks are also just so delicious. So rich in color, so vibrant. And they are just, they're delightful to use because it is like a brush pen. I mean, I can make these nice thin lines. And I can also get a lot of ink to squeeze out on the book. I'm just gonna leave it like that. It feels like this is a little bit more asymmetrical. Pulling out an alcohol marker. And oh, that's interesting how that reacts with the graphite. So I'm playing around with that a little more. That's kind of like a little discovery that I just made, is the alcohol marker kind of smudges the graphite around, which is fun. And just adding. Allowing myself to get more and more. I'm noticing for myself, and I would love to hear what you are noticing if you are following along for this, hopefully 30 days. I may be out on location next week because my son does have a scholarship to an art camp in Aspen to do comic book art. So he's going to be learning all about comic book art next week. And so we're going to have a little bit longer of a commute. And so I may end up doing these, with like limited supplies out downtown in Aspen next week. So the venue may change. However, I'm still planning on creating. Now that it's interesting, I've got all these shades of like yellow and orange. And I do typically go more for the rainbow-ish expression. And I am, for whatever reason, really drawn to these colors. And these marks today, so. But anyway, I remembered I was starting a thought that I never finished. I am noticing kind of that I am feeling freer and freer each day. And I'm pretty familiar to this form of creating, at least this is the way I've been creating for the last, probably at least 5 years, since I allowed myself to get back into art, which if you don't know my story, I gave up art for about 20 years because in high school and school, there were like 2 artists in my grade, 2 people who were considered artists, the main artists, maybe 3. A guy named Mark, a guy named Rob, and a girl named Anne. She was really, really good at art. And so they were just kind of the artists, and if you weren't them and you didn't create the kind of art they did, then you just weren't an artist. And also, in school, teachers really focused on you being able to replicate, to paint a certain way, draw or paint a certain way in a certain style. And if that didn't inspire you, then you just weren't an artist, as opposed to nurturing your exploration into your own style. And, this is definitely not fine technique. This is intuitive expression and exploration. And honestly, these kinds of pieces, when it's truly intuitive and full expression, as opposed to just copying the work of another intuitive artist, copying the work or the style of another intuitive artist, which, as I mentioned yesterday, Flora Bowley has found that a lot of people have done with her work, that they take her courses and instead of creating something of their own from the lessons and really using her lessons as a springboard for their own style, they're just straight up copying her style. So that copying is a completely different kind of expression. But when it is an true intuitive expression, I feel like you can really feel the energy in the pieces. There's really an aliveness to them, and that aliveness comes from your soul, really. I mean, your heart and soul, and the energy of that. You get more and more into what you're here for. You know, people who talk about purpose and things like that. We really are all unique, and we have different ways of communicating. We have different ways of expressing, and there is no right or wrong way. People could say there's a right way and that there's a formal way, or there's a historically accepted way, but it's not good or bad. You know, there's no value judgment there. It's just, I mean, in that case, it would be like, you know, driving a car. Like, can you drive a car? Can you draw like this master, or whatever it is. So in that case, I guess there's a, you know, can you operate this vehicle? Can you use this pen? Versus, can you find your own expression? Are you willing to explore? Are you willing to go on this awesome, exciting treasure hunt that is finding your own style and embracing your own presence instead of trying to get away from who you are? Can you really be with who you are and who you are as an artist? And can you value yourself and your art even if you don't have external validation? I've been listening. Hey guys, you guys, come on. They're seeing some bushes move over on the hill next to us. So, but anyway, the whole point is, and this was kind of an aha moment for me, because honestly, I have gone through phases where I've allowed my own value, my own perceived value of me, be influenced by what is happening externally. And, you know, it's kind of a test for us. There's this question, you know, will you refuse to abandon yourself no matter what? And that is kind of the test. And I have failed that test in many instances, which again, I didn't even realize, because I have been willing to abandon myself. I have allowed my self-worth to be dictated by whether or not people like my art. You know, just like on social media, that's kind of the trap of social media is we fall into the trap of, you know, oh, nobody liked my post, or only 3 people saw this, or, you know, I must not be valuable, I must not be effective, I must not be as good as. Even though, you know, I've always loved my artwork. Because I know what goes into it, and I know how powerful that my pieces are energetically. And I've also allowed myself, I have abandoned myself instead of sticking by my value and sticking by my worth, and allowed, you know, others to dictate, I guess, not the effect, but my own, I guess, it goes back to self-worth, I guess, my own self-worth. So here, this is just a paint pen. This is a Posca. These are actually my favorite. I shouldn't say my favorite, because I've tried the paint pens from Target, but these are like real paint pens. I don't consider the art supplies I get from Target necessarily, quote, professional supplies, but they are so much fun to play around with. I just love supplies in general. I love playing with supplies in general. But I've been wanting to try the Montana paint markers. I just haven't made that investment yet. But they're on my list of things to try. So, if any of you watching this have some Montana paint markers that you don't use and would like to part with, just let me know. I would be happy to take them off your hands. So anyway, are you, will you stand by your own unique expression no matter what, or are you willing to abandon it? And then that is, a leaky energetic container, which then affects, believe it or not, affects all areas of our lives. So now I'm feeling into what I want to do next. I've got the squash over here. But I'm really liking the lightness of this color scheme. I think I'm gonna mix some like lemon yellow gouache with some green gouache. And I feel like that's too limey, so I'm gonna add a little bit of a darker blue to this lemon yellow, which you can't see because I'm doing it off screen. I mean, I guess I could bring this here so you can just see what I'm doing. I'm just finding a color. I really like that color, actually, that color of green. So that was this, and then a little bit of that. The hardest part about mixing colors is mixing enough so that you can keep using it and you don't run out of it and then not be unable to make it again. Is really the... All right, so that's a good green, and then I'm just feeling like, I don't know. You know, I think I'm going to add a little gesso to that to lighten it up, because, you know, intuitively, yes, I put that down, and we're allowed to edit. We're allowed to edit. And I'm just kind of feeling around. So this is gesso added to some gouache. And I'm really just feeling into this, so that's why I'm not speaking. I'm really kind of zoning, getting into a zone here. I'm just really digging these textures. Really digging these textures. Yeah. And I love the, so how these are kind of streaky and they're not completely, what do you call it? I mean, opaque's not the word, but you can see a variation between the green gouache and the gesso. There's a little bit of a, it adds some texture, for sure. And then I'm going to put one there, just kind of over the center. And up, up. I'm just enjoying this mark making and feeling. I feel like one goes there. I feel, and my process for this is I literally just kind of hover my brush or my tool over the page, and then I just kind of get a feeling like, oh, I feel like I need to put my brush down there, and so I do. And I'm going more slowly so I can kind of feel into, most of these are pretty short, but I'm just feeling into the size of the mark that I want to create. And I'm feeling like I want to put another one up here, and another one there, and there. And this is feeling, to be honest, pretty complete. Let me just take a scan around. I'm feeling like I want to add a few more dots. I'm going to add some more dots in there, in there. And there. Nice. So I think that is about, feels good to me. I'm really enjoying the vibe and the energy. So yeah, all right, let me move it over and then I will zoom you in. All right, here we go, zooming in. So you can really see that texture. We've got the green pen and the graphite, the watercolor marker, which I actually didn't even think to activate, alcohol marker, mermaid marker, paint pen, kind of all around. You can get closer and just see some of that juiciness in the texture, which, you don't need to love texture the way that I do. This is what I love, is texture and variation. I love how the gesso and the gouache are kind of, not completely opaque and showing all those layers underneath. So, and as always, I hope that you enjoyed this, and maybe there wasn't anything that you consciously recognized or consciously noticed as opening up or activating or being different, but I am an activator, and it's something that I do naturally, without needing a process or a ritual or anything like that. And so I really hope that you get the benefit of these daily sessions, and that they transform you in some way, however you choose to use them. So with that, feel free to share whatever you're creating, share any insights that are coming about. Feel free to ask any questions as well, and I'll see you tomorrow.